And so it's sad. It really is sad. We have, and then he showed me other pictures of people just hanging out at their other building on Factory Street for everyone to see. So, the one thing is, and we discussed this, and I'm sure everyone listening right now can relate to this, that if you ever hit, there's such a thing as back in the day when the stock market crashed in 1929, or if at any time someone, goes into some type of business venture and loses everything, or the wife takes you for everything, and or you got a bad lawyer, you're an educated person, you worked hard, you're in your 30s, maybe 40s, maybe 50s, maybe beyond. But just like the angry guy said recently, it seems like most of these people are young people. So it's not like they had anything and lost it. These people have had virtually nothing and will have nothing for the rest of their life. So there's a big difference between someone, the haves and the has. In other words, someone who lost it all to the stock market, or had a gambling issue or whatever, and then you got to start all over again, rock bottom. These people started at rock bottom. That's the difference. They start there. And, it might be just like with someone using meth, people get annoyed with people that, either drink too much or don't do enough at all, who are combative. I was talking to a coworker today about someone, I won't mention the company, but he was reported as, having threatened other employees at his establishment somewhere in central New York, but a little more than a year ago. It wasn't that long ago. I said, well, how, is he, and I just casually asked, well, where is he now? He said, no, he's still working there. It's like, still working there? I said, well, maybe he's got some issues. Could be schizophrenia. I mean, talk about being bothered or annoyed by meth use. It's like, this could happen at any time. Now, that's another separate issue. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying. But it just seems like the dynamics of someone who had something and then lost it all, living on the streets, living in the Bowery, or just, living on someone's sofa before they can get their act together again. Those days are over. You might see that every now and then, but the people like this woman with the big with the big fro, if you will, flailing like it's the end of the world and running into the forest. She's about in her mid-20s, a little bit overweight. How do you start that way? So I wonder, if we have a culture living on the riverbanks of Black River, living underneath eaves and businesses on Factory Street, living behind businesses on Factory Street in the high grass. That's their life going forward. And no, to credit the angry guy, no one's going to hire them. Why? Because they don't want to be hired. They just want to know where their next high is. The drugs have gotten so fierce. They've debilitated people to the point where they just don't care anymore. And a lot of these kids, and I call them kids, I don't care. If you're in your 30s, in my book, you're still a kid. You're a young person, and God bless you. I wish I was back in my 30s again. But if I was, I just couldn't just say or live at an ebb and flow where it says, this is going to be the rest of my life. I think these people just look at it like this is what they want to do. And this is just a smidgen of what we see across the country. And it just gets worse. I don't want to sit here and just be a naysayer and just like, whap, 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 just be negative. But there's a lot of things to be pessimistic about right now. And yes, when I first moved up here over 35, 36, 37 years ago, God, it's been a long time, 37 years. I never, ever saw anybody just, off on their own, walking the streets with the shopping cart. But that's what I see now. That's what we all see. Is there an answer to it? Yeah, we could stop the flow of hard drugs coming across the border, thanks to Mexico, thanks to China. But I honestly think the damage is done. Just like with people saying, what are we going to do about these kids? What about their parents? There's this story on TikTok, like so many of them, of 3 8-year-olds in their pajamas robbing a Walgreens or some type of convenience store in the Dallas vicinity last week. And they locked the doors on these 3 kids, and everyone's taking video of them, and they're in their, pajamas, demanding to be released. And I look at this, and I was like, wow, 8 years old, children learn what they live. And what was the accelerating factor in all this in recent years? Clearly, COVID. COVID kids are now COVID adults or older than they were before. So this just doesn't get any better. And they say the same thing, people like in Britain or Ireland or people in Europe, and they write, oh, we got to change this. It's too late. You're outnumbered. The top 10 cities in Britain right now, top 10, that's from London down to Birmingham, whatever. I don't know all the cities. And there can't be that many over 500,000 people as it is. But the top 10 cities, the mayors are all Muslim. You open the doors to this, and there's no way you're going to send these people back. They're here. You used to rule them with the English Empire, but now you don't. Now they rule you. So I wonder, in 10 years from now, for instance, just think, 2015, if I was sitting here right now talking about a woman taking a bath, a bird bath, mind you, at Public Square Fountain because she can't get off methamphetamines and she's living in the woods behind, Factory Street somewhere, I would say, wow, 2025 seems like it's going to be. But if I were also to include the fact that there's, and this is just a guess, hundreds of people in her condition living in the streets and on the banks of the Black River, I would say that in 10 years from now, we're going in a downward slide. So now, 10 years later, and now looking forward 10 years from now, where the hell are we going to be? It's not going to be pretty, folks. That's for sure.